All right, welcome. We are going to work on solving systems, this time using the substitution method. Okay, remember there's three ways to solve this. So substitution means we're going to get a variable by itself, and then we're going to substitute it. We're going to put it into the other equation, okay? When you're using the substitution method, you have to find a variable to isolate, to get by itself. Okay, so when we're looking at this, you may be tempted to get this y by itself because it's already almost all the way by itself, and we would just need to divide by 3. Okay, but then you're going to cause a fraction in there, which you can do it with fractions, but we just might take a minute and look. So when I'm looking to see which variable I'm going to get by itself, I'm looking for a variable that has just an invisible 1 as a coefficient as my most one I'm going to choose. So this y would work, right? We'd move the 4x over and it would work. This x would work because we can move the 3 over, okay? Either of those options would work. I think I'm going to use this first one, so I'm going to solve for y. This is the negative 4x. To get rid of a negative 4x, we're going to add 4x to both sides. Okay, now that's going to add out and it's going to leave me. So I have y equals 4x plus negative 10. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this second equation here that I haven't used yet, right? I haven't moved anything around in that equation. And I'm going to write it again, except for I'm taking out y, and I'm going to replace it by what it's equal to or its nickname. So I'm going to take out y, I'm going to put 4x plus negative 10 in its place. So we're going to write 3 in place of y, we're writing 4x plus negative 10. And then I'm going to rewrite the rest of the equation. So x plus 3. Okay, if we look at our work here, we only are dealing with x's, right? We don't have any of the y's right now. And so now this is an equation that we can solve. Number outside parentheses means we need to distribute. 3 times 4x is going to be 12x. 3 times negative 10 is going to be negative 30. And we still have this x plus 3 here. Okay, we have variables on both sides, and so we need to get the variables on the same side of the equation. Okay, you can move either way. I like to keep my variables positive, so I'm going to move this x, and right now it just says x, and so that really is a 1x. So if it helps to write the 1 in front of it, you can. So the opposite of a 1x is going to be a negative 1x. I'm going to add negative 1x to both sides of the equal sign of the equation here. I like to write it under its like term so I can line things up. 12x plus negative 1x is 11x plus negative 30 equals 3. We got the variable on the left. Because the variable's on the left, we need to get the constant on the right. So we're going to add 30 to both sides. 11x equals 33. Still isolating the variable here, so number next to a letter means we're multiplying. To undo multiplication, we're going to divide, so we're going to divide by 11. X is going to equal 3. Okay, once we know what one of the variables equals, and in this case we know what x is, we're going to take it and we're going to substitute our answer back into one of these two original equations. You don't want to do the equation that you rearranged just in case you made a mistake. So we're going to put it in this equation right here. We're going to use the second one just because we know what x is. It's going to be a little less movement. So we've got 3y equals x equals 3. So we're putting 3 in its place. 3 plus 3 is 6. So 3y equals 6. We're going to divide both sides by 3 to isolate the y. Y is going to equal 2. When you write your answer as a coordinate point, go in alphabetical order. So 3, 2. If you would like to check your answer, you're going to take your equations and you're just going to substitute them in. So 3 is going to go in for x. 2 is going to go in for y. Okay, so I'm gonna erase this on us just so I can substitute in and we'll check it. -4 times 3 plus 2 equals -10. -4 times 3 is -12. -12 plus 2 is going to be -10. So that one works out. But you can't just work in one equation. You need it to work in both equations. So if I substitute it in this equation, 3 times 2, because that's y, equals 3 plus 3. 3 times 2 is 6. 3 plus 3 is 6. So this worked in both equations. So again, our answer to this is 3, 2. Okay? Our next example is 2x plus y equals -6. Second equation is 3x plus y equals -10. First thing we need to do is to isolate a variable, get a variable by itself. So when we look at this, I'm not going to get the x's by themselves because there's a coefficient that's not 1 in front of them. I would if I had to, but you see how these are both just 1 y's here? Those would be really good equations or variables to solve for. So I'm going to let you pause this video here in a moment. I'm going to solve for this y and do the problem. If you would like to solve for that y, you are welcome to. But again, when you restart the video, I'm going to be solving for this y. So please pause the video, try this one on your own. Okay, so now we're going to get this y by itself. So we're going to move our 2x to the other side. It's a positive 2x, so we're going to add -2x or subtract 2x from both sides. Okay, when we do that, that's going to leave us with y equals -2x plus -6. Okay, I messed with the first equation, so I now need to use the second equation. I'm going to rewrite the second equation. Instead of writing y, we're going to put -2x plus -6 in its place. Okay, so here we go. 3x plus, I don't want to write the y. In its place, I'm going to put the -2x plus -6 in place of y. And then I got to remember to finish rewriting this equation, equals -10. So again, we're dealing just with one variable, so now we can use our solving equation skills. There's nothing out here to distribute, right? We put it in parentheses, so I know that I was putting that in place of y. So we can combine our like terms. 3x plus -2x is 1x or x. So we have x plus -6 equals -10. Isolate x, we're going to need to add +6 to both sides. X is going to equal -4. Once we know what x is, we want to go back and put it into one of the two original equations. This doesn't matter. One's not going to be easier than the other. Okay, so let's just use the top one because there's a little bit more room to write above the board there. Okay, so 2 times -4 plus y, because we don't know what y is yet, equals -6. 2 times -4 is -8 plus y equals -6. In order to isolate the variable, we need to add 8 to both sides. Y is going to equal 2. So our answer to this equation, remember x is going to come before y, is -4 positive 2 would be our answer to this equation. -4 positive 2. And again, we can check that. 3 times -4 is -12. -12 plus 2 equals -10. So it works in this equation here. 2 times -4 is -8. -8 plus 2 equals -6. So this equation checks out. Thank you for watching.